Town of St. John Board of Zoning Appeals agenda for today is on April the 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Please, it's called to order and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
John Gill is here. Joe Gomestagel.
Here.
Drago Popovic is online. Paul Hobbs is absent. Chris Kriesbaum.
Here.
Attorney Adam Decker.
Here.
Town Manager Billy Manasopoulos.
Here.
Okay. And the minutes from March 6th, which we didn't have too much, we didn't have anything March 6th because we didn't have a meeting. So
Yeah, we did, Joe. We had
we had a meeting, but it was,
no, that was the Plan Commission you're thinking of.
Okay.
We did have in the minutes
do
were
I
sent
have
out
here?
for us to review. I'll make a motion to approve the March 6th Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion.
okay.
We got to vote on it, Joe.
Okay, I agree.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, so the public hearing today is on A 2024-06, development variance from such St. John MC 24-94 and St. John MC 24-461 B and C to allow the construction of an accessory building approximately 290 feet larger than the allowed and approximate 2.9 feet inches taller than allowed at 12945 Red Lily Way, St. John in Gary Longaria. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, but this is a public hearing, so what I'm going to begin is reading. This would be it. There's two letters here from some remonstrants, but they're all the same. They're sending the same letter because we didn't have a meeting last at our BCA.
Should get there and say what he wants to do.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it would be appropriate to have the applicant come before the dais to basically make any presentation that they wish to make as part of the public hearing, and then invite members of the public to speak, and then, of course, any comments that have been provided, any written remonstrances can be read into the record as part
Okay.
of the hearing.
Thank you very much. So will the, Mr. Longaria, again, I'm mispronouncing your name, and I apologize. Longoria,
Longoria.
please, could you,
Hi, Gary Longoria. Live at 12945 Red Lily Way, St. John. Yeah, we're just applying to get a larger accessory building, and what's allowed in St. John as of now. We did this before, but it was quite larger. We skimmed it down some. So, just here to see what you guys' thoughts are.
all right. Is that all you have to
Yeah,
say?
that's all I got.
I move to, are there any public comments in regards to this? I guess now you spoke your piece, right? That's it?
You
You're
guys
just
good?
telling us that how much it's bigger than the other one and it's gradually growing. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. All those who want to remonstrate, a public hearing, it's a public hearing, please state your name and address. I don't see anything else other than what he put up here. Anybody wants to remonstrate against or for? Okay, I have a letter It's open to the public. Going once. Going twice. Public hearing's closed. I have a letter, remonstrating letter, that was sent last month, and also a copy of it that was sent this month, which I will read to the general public. Basically states, Town of St. John, Indiana Board of Zoning Appeals, attention Joseph Gomez Tego, reference Gary Longoria, BCA 2024-06, variance St. John, MC 24-94, and St. John MC 24-461, B and C, at 12945 Red Lily Way, St. John, Indiana 46373, The Preserves. Dear Mr. Gomez Tego, we are in receipt of the legal notices of public hearing for the variance for the above cited property. We do not want the variance to be approved. The Longoria property already has an addition being constructed on the rear of their house. Preparation for any type of building began at least 3 years ago before an approval was given for their first application. The huge boards that are laying on the north side of the property have been there for a period of a time and are deteriorating. That in itself is an eyesore to anyone who drives down Red Lily Way. Nothing is done in a timely manner. Those boards are being watered when the sprinkler system is running, so it is obvious that the owner does not care about the conditions of that side of the property or care enough about what the neighbors see on the property. The construction size outbuilding a permanent structure that has been applied for will not enhance the views of the surrounding homes and will make the yard more congested. It too would be an eyesore for several neighbors with views of that property to have a building sitting in the back of their yard. Plus, according to Section 3.06 of the Declaration of Covenants and restrictions for the Preserve Phase 1, there are to be no outbuildings on the residential lots, with the exception of the cabanas on the estate lots. When asked if the pergola would be erected on the property in Phase 1, not in a state lot, the requesting party was turned down by the developer or homeowners association because it was freestanding structure. Your attention to and consideration of this letter is requested. We do not want to be looking at a large building siding on the back of our yard directly across from our home. Besides, it is being in violation of the covenants and restriction of the preserves. And it's signed by Stephen D. Miss, Marianne Miss, and actually at 9817 Tallgrass Trail, St. John, and CC, the Preserves of St. John, the Homeowners Association. This was dated March 1st and also dated March 20th. So it's almost the same thing, but I'll read the second one too. It says, Dear Mr. Gomez Tego, we are in receipt of a legal notice of the public hearing for April the 3rd to 2024 for the application for the variance on the above cited property. We do not want the variance to be approved. The Longarian property has an addition being constructed on the rear of their house. Preparations for any type of building began at least 3 years ago. Now, I'm rereading exactly what they wrote, so my apologies if you are listening to this again. The huge boards that are laying on the north side of the property have been there for a period of time and are deteriorating. That in itself is an eyesore to anyone who drives down Red Lily Way. Those boards are being watered when the sprinkler system is running. So it is obvious that the owner does not care about the condition of that side of the property or care enough about what the neighbors see on the property. Nothing is done in a timely manner by the property owner. To construct a size outbuilding, a permanent structure that has been applied for does not conform to section 3.06 of the Declaration of Covenants and Restrictions for the Preserve Phase 1, which reads, there are to be no outbuildings on the residential lots, with the exception of the cabinets on the estate lots. The Longoria property is not an estate lot. Your attention and consideration of this letter is requested. We do not want this variance to be approved as it is a violation of the covenants and restrictions of the preserve. Sincerely, Stephen D. Miss and Mary Ann Miss. Also CC the Preserves, the St. John Homeowners Association Schilling Development. And the legal notices here are done correctly. Are there any comments? I have a question. And they don't state here, and one of the things I have a problem with some people say for a short period of time now. A short period is kind of tough way to express themselves. I think the attorney, if you don't mind, a short period, it's also, what is considered a short period? 2 years, a year, 2 months, 3 months?
As far as
This letter that says that that material was out for a long period of time, and no action was taken to at least organize it or do something.
I don't know if we can speak to what the resident who wrote that letter meant. This board being first coming on being appointed on January 1st and January 2nd, doesn't know what happened prior to January 1st or January 2nd when we took this on.
Right.
As far as anything that is there, I think we can address boards being laid out and left to the side with our code enforcement, and we can send them out there. But as the,
Why don't we have Mr. Longoria
Yeah.
comment in regards to the remonstrance?
yeah,
Well, and Mr. Chair, if I may, I would direct the board to the standards, the legal standards for consideration of the variance, which specifically are 3 items. 1, that the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And 3, that the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Those are the 3 findings that the Board of Zoning Appeals must make when they're considering the request. So the boards that are adjacent to property, in my view, may be irrelevant to the
Right.
board's decision about the request that's before
That's true, I agree with you on that. And on the other side of this, I'd like to see, do you have anything to say about this letter, sir?
Yeah, the crane mats that they're speaking of, I was the lucky few that paid a pool guy about $50K to come do a pool, then he went to jail, took my money.
Sorry, I didn't,
I paid a pool guy $50,000 to put a pool in, so we had a permit to install the pool. And these boards are actually crane mats, so we don't damage the yard. And you guys that do construction know what I'm talking about, so we don't put large ruts in the yard. So my pool guy, within a year, he ended up going to jail. I got screwed on my money, and I brought in a new builder here, Scott, to do the addition. How long you been working on this project now? Couple months now. So the time log isn't that bad on the new development we're doing. The pool, it was egregious, but who knew this guy was going to jail and ripped me off? So That's what this lady's speaking about. Things that are out of my control, so to speak. And she doesn't like me.
Now, Attorney, Councilman, Attorney, if you name those elements, the welfare and the value of the properties, if these people feel that the homeowners association, because I'm pretty sure that's all of them, or maybe that's just the two that are writing in, representing the homeowners association, if the value of the property is going to decrease because of this, their value,
Joe, I think if you look at the site plan and what he wants to develop on his property, I personally don't think that it's going to, it's not going to affect any of those three things that we're looking at as a board to approve it or disapprove it.
Yeah, I'm looking to spend about 200 to
Hold on, he's
250K.
talking right now, sir. He's saying, go ahead, sir.
So if we look at this, what they're asking to build, based on these plans and what he's doing with the property with this, it's not gonna, I don't believe it's gonna affect any neighboring properties.
Now, you were going to say something, sir?
Yeah, we're looking to put about $200 to $250,000 in this, so it's not going to be anything that's junk.
And in that remonstrance letter, what that resident is speaking about is what he just explained as the crane mats. I mean, I work construction, I use crane mats.
Yeah.
Crane mats are pretty to begin with. So deteriorating, they look like they're deteriorating
Like-
sometimes when they come off the truck. So,
Like our attorney.
and what they're used for equipment to track on top of. So they're not meant to be appealing to the eye. They're meant to serve a purpose, not to damage property further.
I just wanted to make sure that we're covering all angles here. And by building, that's not our plan. That's not in our, all we're looking at, the coding, the zone.
We're looking at the
restrictions.
facts, Joe.
The facts, yeah. So I would say, are there any other things that we want to put in here? Because based on this, I don't have any objections.
Make a motion.
So, yeah, so what is required is a member is going to have to make a motion, whether that motion is to approve the requested variance or to deny the requested variance. The board can impose reasonable conditions on any approval that it might consider, but it will require an affirmative vote of 3 of the members in order to pass any motion, whether that's to approve or to deny the request.
You got any more questions, Joe?
Nope, that's all I have right now. Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Decker, I'll make a motion to approve. Variance.
Okay, and could you, Mr. Kreisbaum?
Yeah, I'll read the letter.
Read
Yes.
the, right, into the record for the purposes of establishing the
Upon-
findings of fact.
Yes. Upon review of the proposal for development technical variance filed by Gary Longoria, the St. John Board of Zoning Appeals, after having given due consideration to those matters elicited in the St. John zoning ordinance number 1483, as amended from time to time and after given due consideration to IC 36-7-4-918.5, having paid reasonable regard to the comprehensive plan of the town of St. John, does hereby make the following findings of fact. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. According to the Board of Zoning Appeals, I'm making a motion to approve.
So your motion has been made, that will require a second in order for there to be a vote taken.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Sorry, I'm not sure what the vote was for that, Mr. Chair.
Actually, it was based on the 3 elements that the approval will not be injurious.
No. I just need to know how each of the members voted.
Oh, okay. Would you please, Gil, or who says?
Yes.
Okay, please,
Yes.
yes.
Drago, are
Yes.
you out there?
All those in favor?
Hold on, we have one.
Yeah,
online, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so
four
I
to
think the
zero.
vote is 4-0.
Yep.
4-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next order of business is B 2024-05 special exemption from St. John MC 24-193 and St. John MC 24-343 ET sequence, St. John MC 24-45 to allow for an automobile repair services quick lube with an existing car wash facility at 8445 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana. Keplish Patel, Duke of Oil, applicant Edward Miller, owner of the Hands on Car Wash, Bharat Bob Shah, Duke of Oil, Thelma Nolan, Duke of Oil. I don't have anything here, just a.
Mr. Patel, if you'd like to come up and give us some information, please.
My name is Cal Patel. I'm at 8202 Calumet Avenue in Munster, Indiana. I'm also here with Bob Shaw, Thelma Nolan, also with the Duke of Oil, and Ed Miller with Hands On Premium Car Wash. Thanks for your time today. We're looking for a special exception to provide a different service offering for quick lube, auto repair, and existing car wash. And we're looking to partner with Ed Miller to provide this service offering. So we've been in business for over 35 years, mostly here in Northwest Indiana. We also have some locations in Illinois as well. And we think this would be a great asset to the community, a good service offering, and I think this would be a good location for us to conduct business here in St. John.
But now, what special exemption are you looking for right now? I'm sorry, I don't quite get it.
To provide an additional service offering for quick lube and auto repair at existing car wash. So we have no intention with changing the building or the existing footprint. There are some bays that the car wash has that we're looking to do oil changes in.
Joe, they're looking to add a secondary business to an existing business.
Yeah, our zoning ordinance calls for any automobile maintenance activities in the 41 overlay district to get the special exception.
Are there any questions from the public?
Do you want to open the,
This is open to the public now. Second call. Third call. Closed. Right, are there any questions from the board here?
I do. Mr. Patel, I'm sorry, I should have had you stay up there. With the exemption you're looking for, obviously, it's a little bit broad in our code. But you're looking just to take that last bay and make it into a oil change facility?
There are 3 existing detail bays.
Right.
And we're looking to convert those 3 existing.
Sorry, 3, yeah.
Those 3 detail bays to oil change.
And there's no plans on actually having an automobile repair shop to where we're gonna see cars parked outside waiting to get serviced, stacked up. We're strictly talking an oil change, correct?
It is oil change with the potential for future auto repair where the existing tunnel is, but our intention right now is to continue operating the car wash. And so from a stacking perspective, they would wrap around the building, and then we would perform the service, and then they would drive off.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the 3 bays that they're speaking of currently face to the east, so it's at the rear of the building.
Yes, that's correct.
That is correct.
So most of the cars would already be on the east side, which is the rear of the building, not, the view would not be from 41.
That is correct. Yeah, stacking would be behind the building.
Yeah.
We wouldn't change the flow that the existing car wash already has. So it'd be just to complement the stacking that they already have today.
So that part I get, but again, I'm just touching on that it's not gonna be a mechanic shop to where we're gonna see vehicles parked outside. I'm not talking about waiting in line to get their oil changed, but it's not gonna be, what you're asking for is not to open a garage here. You're asking to have those last 3 bays made into a oil change facility or establishment.
At this time, that is our intention, is just to perform
this time?
oil changes, yes.
So, Adam, just when we do this, could we do it with an exception or, I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm
so,
looking for,
yeah.
where we couldn't, would be anything but that?
Right, so you as a board, in making a decision tonight, and essentially this is a recommendation that will go to the town council. So the town council ultimately will have to consider the request and approve or deny it. This board is simply making that recommendation either favorable or unfavorable or no recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is made, you can impose any reasonable conditions or contingencies. So for example, I think, Mr. Menopoulos, you're suggesting that you might consider, or the board might consider approval, but then restrict the special exception to simply maybe oil change or quick oil change use of those garage bays, and nothing beyond that. And if the applicant is seeking in the future to come back and perhaps do auto repair, that it would be required to come back before the Board of Zoning Appeals to make that request at that time. So you can include that as part of your consideration and ultimately the recommendation that you're making to the town council.
And for like a storage container for the used oil, at this point, could we make that something where it would have to be underground and not visible to, we would do that also?
You could make that a condition of the recommendation to the town council, yes.
So, first of all, we have to basically ask them, how are they going to be operating for us to figure out if they're going to have all that stuff there? You know, what kind of operation are you going to have right now so that we could say, okay, this is the way their lube oil change is going to work?
Joe, I think
Well,
he's
Joe,
already
here's the
answered.
picture on the screen. They're gonna have the
Yeah.
3 cars stacking in the bay, go in the
Right,
bay, get the
but-
oil change, pull out, and leave.
But the oil itself, what Billy's talking about, would it be seen?
So, our question is there a way to store it underground before it comes and gets removed?
My name is Bob Shaw.
Hey, Bob.
I'm the one who established the Duke of Oil
Okay.
about 36 years ago. Every location we have, we do not store any oil outside the building. Most of the oil is stored in a basement or even underground. And only few places we have it underground. Otherwise, it's in a basement. So those 3 bays, we are trying to put an oil change. It will be, we probably may have to dug up the basement, and we put the tanks over there.
Okay.
Because, we what we call is a pit, and we operate in the pit. If you are familiar with those oil change places,
Right.
That's how we do it. Going back in a mechanical shop, I don't think we have any intention if we can survive with the car wash. Well, we do run a car wash in Munster, Indiana, hand car wash, and it's a loss leader. And if you go down on Indianapolis Boulevard, you see about 5-6 car washes, and it's very hard to survive just in a car wash alone. And this is a complement with their businesses, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have anything else.
I don't have any.
Any recommendations?
Yeah, I'll move to send a favorable recommendation to the town council, based on the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not be detrimental or endanger to the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare, that the special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair the property value within the neighborhood. That the establishment of the special exception will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses within the district. Adequate measures will be taken to provide ingress and egress so as designed to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets, and that adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and/or necessary facilities will be provided. That adequate measure will, in all other aspects, conform to the applicable regulations of the zoning district in which this is located, and that the special exception shall be required to comply with reasonable time limitations on the commencement and during of special exception, as well as the holder of rights to the same. And I move that we put the condition of no customer vehicles to be stored overnight outdoors on the property. And if they want to do more mechanic type activities, they'd have to come back before the board for another special exception for more detailed work other than oil changes.
A motion has been made.
I second
I
that.
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
4-0.
Okay, roll call. I didn't vote on that. Okay,
I thought you
aye.
said aye, Joe, I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought, I didn't hear you, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. All those in
So,
favor? No.
I think to clarify the last couple of votes, I think if there's going to be a roll call vote, then,
Then-
Mr. Chair, you can call the roll and then poll each of the individual members, which will help clarify whether it's an aye or a nay.
I
Or
didn't-
if you decide you want not to take a roll call vote, it's imperative that everybody's voice can be heard audibly for the record, so.
So, Billy, you said aye too?
I'm not a voting member.
You're not, oh,
No.
we
Yeah,
got
so-
three here then.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'm sorry.
Brago's on the
Fine.
phone.
So what did he vote?
He voted
I
yes.
voted aye.
All those.
In favor.
Okay. Then, it's the unanimous aye vote on that too.
You can move to C, Joe.
Pardon?
We're on letter
We're on
C.
C.
C, yeah. On item number C, 2024-09, development variance from St. John 24461, B, to exceed the 160 square foot maximum accessory building size allowed by 60 square feet for construction of a 220 square foot shed at 9835 West 93rd Avenue in St. John. Todd Boatman, applicant and owner. Is Todd here?
My name is Todd Botma. I reside at 9835 West 93rd Avenue. I'm seeking a variance to convert an existing enclosure that is now 11 by 20 into an outbuilding that is going to have the same exact footprint.
That's about it. Are there any remonstrance from the public? Going once, twice, three, close to the public. Are there any motions or questions from the board? Questions and motions from the board?
I don't have any problem with it, Joe. He has an existing pool, I believe, within the town. You're allowed an additional 90 square foot on top of the 160 for a secondary building if you have an existing pool. Well, with what he's proposing, he's only 220 square foot with one building, so in theory, he could add another 30 square foot of building onto his property, so I don't see any problem with approval of this.
I did also obtain approval from the architectural committee from the HOA.
Do you have a letter or anything from?
Yes, sir.
Did you see this?
You want this back?
Sure.
Are there any questions or motions from the board? Or,
I'll make a motion for approval. It will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, and that the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
I'll second that.
third, okay. What's up here?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, too.
Drago?
Correct? I don't hear.
Yeah, aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item D. From a special exemption for St. John MC 24-193 and St. John MC 24-194, ET6, St. John MC 24-45 to allow a special use authorization for assisted living memory care facilities within US 41 overlay district to allow for building an accessory building in the underlying C2 district at 9117 Patterson Street in St. John, Indiana, Meadow Walls. James Huss, Meadow Walls is the applicant, and James Huss is the agent. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing Meadow Wall Street. And I'm joined tonight by James Huss from DVG, the project engineer. Also Kevin Hunt, legal counsel for our office. And I believe Chris Raymond is online
He is,
from
yes.
the owners, proposed owners of the building. So tonight we're here to announce a new project on the Wall Street parcel. This is a 11-acre parcel that lies north of Wall Street and west of US 41. This is an exciting project that we've been working on for almost a year. As you know, the Schillings are very particular about the users that we select for our properties, and we have vetted this company, and we are excited about the possibility of them coming to St. John to build a senior housing facility on this property. We have the next two items on your agenda, actually. This first item, item D, is two exceptions that will require a favorable or unfavorable recommendation to the town council. And then the following item E is a list of 10 variances that we are seeking for the property, mainly due to the fact that it is in the US 41 overlay district, and so there are a number of restrictions on the property because of the overlay district. So the first two items under item D are the special use authorization for an assisted living or memory care facility within the US 41 overlay district. It is allowed in the underlying C2 zoning, but the overlay district restricts it. And so this building would be a 3-story assisted living facility, similar to the ones you see in Dyer. They have 109 units. They will offer independent living, assisted living, and memory care facilities in the building. They have a full commercial kitchen. They offer 3 meals a day, and the use is a good use for this property. We are seeking to subdivide the entire property into 4 lots. Lot 1 would be the large lot in the back of the property that would contain the senior housing, and then there would be a drive down the middle off of Wall Street, and there would be 3 new outlots created in front of the property, one on the corner, and then 1 lot in, and then one behind on the corner of Patterson and Wall Street. So we have to get through the several variances for the property in order to subdivide it in this way, but once we have the anchor of the senior housing facility that would be in the back of the property, it makes the front outlots much more appealing for us to market and potentially bring in either professional offices or restaurants or some other uses for those corner parcels. So, yeah, I assume we'll need to go through the variances one at a time, but if you have questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm just reading through the material. The first item under the special exception makes reference to a special use authorization citing section 2445, which is our zoning district maps or zoning district classifications. I don't know, I don't see assisted living or memory care as an item in our zoning ordinance.
Good evening, Kevin Hunt on behalf of Schilling Development. I'm pulling up our schedule of uses 2445. This was brought, we discussed it at the staff level, and this was brought as a residential care facility. So that's where you'll see that.
Okay, and I would concur, residential care facility seems to be appropriate. So then this would be not a special exception, this would actually be a variance of use that you're seeking, correct?
Yeah, the initial meeting we had with the town, that this is how we presented it. You know, if it's deemed a use variance instead of a special exception, we can address it in that manner. But
Well, that's Mr. Chair, I mean, if this residential care facility is prohibited in the district, then that typically requires a variance of use. It's not a special exception, it's not a special use authorization. There is nothing in our town code that defines a special use authorization, to my knowledge. So I think this would probably be essentially a use variance, which is a recommendation to the town council based on the findings that are made by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
So then you're saying that 2024-10, the special exception should be, and that's what you used with the town when you talked to the town, is that correct?
yeah, we indicated that we were going to be using a special use.
But not a special variance?
Well,
A use variance.
well, I guess that's kind of mincing words, but we indicated to them that the use was going to be a residential care type facility. As Jack had indicated, it's independent living, assisted living, and a memory care facility. So it is a bit of a hybrid, but the closest thing we could find in the existing code under 24-45 was a residential care facility.
And I submit it's either, it could be a residential care facility, it might be a nursing home. I think the memory care aspect of this would probably qualify this as a nursing home. But both are prohibited in that district, so it would still require a variance of use to be approved for this use of the property in this district.
So, could you explain the difference between the development variance and the exemption variance that you tied them together here? That'll be D and E. Why did you tie them together?
Well, because both of those require a recommendation from you to the town council.
Right.
You'll take two different votes on them, but each one,
Oh, no, so are you talking about why there's a section D and a section E?
Right, but you're tying them together, right?
I think when Jack was making the presentation, it might have sounded like you were asking to take both D and E at the same time.
Yes.
just, yeah, they're, both of your items are covering the various variances that we need for this project. But the first two will be a recommendation of the town council. The remaining variances, you guys vote on right here tonight.
That would be on the development variance, but not
That would be under E, yes.
on the development variance, but not on the special exemption that they
Well,
have.
we do have a special exception variance under section D. There's two variances, as Mr.
Joe, E is for the assisted living that they're asking
Right.
for.
So there's
And
a,
E is for the other
The
parcels
special-
of property that they
Right.
want to
We figured
develop.
we
But
just take
that's
them one
right,
at a
but
time.
then-
correct,
they're
special
using-
exception for the accessory building, which is a enclosed
Detached
garage.
E doesn't particularly apply to the
To the,
retirement center.
but then in that D, okay, in that D, you have 2445, which is, should be a use variance, not a special exemption. That's what the attorney's saying. Is that
Well,
correct?
no, let me, yeah, so what I think is being requested under item D
Okay,
is one, a use variance to allow their proposed residential care facility or nursing home
not allowed.
in the overlay district.
Okay.
Because it's prohibited currently under our zoning ordinance. The second part of item D is the special exception, which is dealing with the accessory uses and buildings in a C2 zoning district. So that, I presume that,
I didn't touch on that, but that's a detached garage. That's part of the, that's adjacent to the residential care facility.
but, so, with regard to the second item, it's a C2 zoning district, and I believe our zoning ordinance prohibits accessory buildings in the C2 district.
Correct.
So I don't know, that's not designated as a special exception in our schedule of uses, correct?
No, but it's referred to, if you go to, I think, 24, it's in the proposal, 24-194. They call it a special exception, and I think it says that certain exception, if you request it, would go as a favorable or unfavorable recommendation to the town council. That's that specific provision.
And I'm pulling that up now, Kevin. So 24-194, I believe.
I'll try and pull that up as well.
Right, and it says 24-194, accessory uses are not permitted. The Board of Zoning Appeals and Town Council may grant a special exception provided that the petitioner demonstrates that the accessory building will enhance the streetscape in addition to the other requirements for a special exception. So yes, that's correct, it would be a special exception. So that's the second part of item D. So to answer your question about item D, there's really two things. One is in my opinion, a use variance And the second is the special exception under Town Code Section 24-194. And both of those items will be considered separately, and both of those items will be recommendations to the town council.
Well, let's just cover D first, Joe, and then we'll move on to E.
Yeah, that's, even covering D, you have to have a special for 194 and also 193 and 245 and 45. So you have to have them separate at least, so we could, because on 45 use variance, that goes to the assisted living memory facility or senior citizen complex, or however we want to call it. So we have to have a variance for that one, because it doesn't, I mean, we have to have an exemption for that type of building, allowing that use.
Yeah, if we can't get
We
by
can't
that-
combine them
Right.
together.
And if we can't get by the first one, then the rest of them don't matter. So the first one's the most important.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to look, we're trying to look at this three things all at once, and we're gonna make a decision on all three things, but an exemption to all of them, and we can't, can we do that?
I'm sorry, can you do what?
Can you combine all three of them under 24-10A, a special exemption, and put in all three of them together? That's what I get here, is that,
Yeah, so again, Mr. Chair, I believe there are two requests made under
Right.
item D. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, the first item is, in my opinion, they're requesting a use variance
right,
for the memory care facility, which, residential care or the nursing home. That's the first item, and I think that's the most important item.
and that's the one we either have to approve or,
No,
just.
Make it a
Favorable,
favorable.
unfavorable, or no
Recommendation, recommendation, that's what I'm,
you're going to make a recommendation to the town council, whether to make a favorable recommendation, an unfavorable recommendation, or no recommendation, okay? The second part of D is the special exception for the accessory building in a C2 district. It's not a variance, it's a special exception under our zoning ordinance. That also will be a recommendation to the town council.
yeah, so you can't.
There's two- I believe there are two
combine- yeah, two in one here, and we,
Well, I think they should be considered separately.
separate, that's what I'm trying to,
Yes.
we can't vote on one of them. We can't vote on just D alone and say, favorable condition or unfavorable condition. We have to separate them both.
Yes.
That's
Is that
my
correct?
recommendation.
D
yes.
will get two different votes.
Right. So,
I do want to remind you also that this is a public hearing that we advertised for tonight. So if at some point before you,
all right,
Your motion,
yeah, but
if you
I'm just
wanna
trying to get,
open it. Yeah.
so that the general public understands
Sure.
that they have an option here.
Why don't you open it to public comment, Joe?
So I guess before we do that, let's figure out what we're opening. Are we going to do all of D and E? under
We'll do
public-
D and then take care of E.
Yeah.
Two separate public hearings then? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Are there any public,
I'm Dave Johnston. I live at 9636 Ivy Avenue here in St. John. So my question is with all this new housing coming in, how is our water system going to keep up with our wells? We're told in the summertime, sometimes you can't water a few days a week. How much more strain is this going to add? And are they going to help pay for some of the strain that they're going to put on our water system and our sewer? Is it going to add more jobs here? Are we going to need more jobs to attend to these new needs? If so, that'd be great to know if it is.
So as far as what the public hearing is right now is for the assisted living, what water usage, that building will bring in, we can get you those numbers. The town and it is not aware of any water shortages that we have. We're okay. As far as why they had the sprinkle ban last year, I can get you that information, Mr. Johnson, but I know ourselves, we are doing some work to our filtration systems, which will up our capacity. And as of right now, I can assure you there's no danger of running out of water or sewer capacity.
Okay, now, with some of the cost now, is that coming from us that already reside here? Or, you know what I'm saying, if we need added capacity, are they gonna contribute, so our taxes don't go up and we're not paying for extra because they're adding?
So,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may. So this is a public hearing where
Right.
the public are invited to make comment on the specific items that are under consideration. This is not the time and place for questions of the public to the town manager or to members of the Board of Zoning Appeal. I think if they're rhetorical questions, meaning he's not expecting an answer from anybody, then he can make those questions to the Board of Zoning Appeals. But this is not the time or the place during a public hearing for these types of questions, and to be
Just
answered.
rhetorical statements.
If they're rhetorical questions, they can be part of any presentation that is being made to the Board of Zoning Appeals, either for or against the specific requests that are being considered.
Based on the zoning.
I think because we're making a recommendation to the town council, these questions can be directed at the town council meeting during open comment.
Okay,
but to ease your mind, we're okay.
okay.
All right.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll make a couple of comments. This is Chris Raymond from DMK Development, who is the owner representing this project. Just to kind of add a little bit of clarity, so some background on DMK, we've been building high-quality senior living communities across the Midwest and South for many years. We've done a lot of research and feel very strongly that St. John is a great fit for one of our senior living projects. We've identified a lot of existing unmet need for the services that one of our communities will provide. And we think it's a great kind of innocuous and beneficial use for the town of St. John. I'm not really sure where the conversation before ended exactly, but just to touch on it a little bit, our facility will be for-profit, tax-paying. We will create 60 to 70 full-time jobs once it's up and running. So anyways, all this is to say is obviously we are in support of this and think this use fits very well in this spot, and it is great for the town of St. John.
I have a question regarding as far as the memory unit that's inside the building, is that, I know Attorney Decker made a comment, basically, you can have high-functioning memory impaired unit to where it is assisted living, but they need that additional assistance where it's not actual nursing care. Can you comment on to that?
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, we do at DMK feel that this falls into the residential care facility. As Jack mentioned before, our facility offers independent living, assisted living, and memory care. So it's a range of the acuity spectrum of a senior resident. On the memory care side, you're 100% right. A lot of our residents may be in great physical health, but maybe do not have the cognitive awareness to keep themselves safe, and that is typically what our memory care units are designed for. Now, on the other side of things, our company has and does build skilled nursing facilities, which is the more technical term for, I think, nursing homes, which is what other people, or which is what has been tossed around. It is technically a different type of use. Our building is much lower on the acuity spectrum in terms of needs required by our residents, whereas a skilled nursing facility is much higher. It's beyond assisted living and memory care, where residents are looking for short-term rehab or even long-term care and maybe they can't even walk or really help themselves on a daily basis. Our facility will be home to much lower acuity residents who are able to care for themselves in a lot of ways and do not require that more extreme version of nursing care.
Anyone else? Going once, twice. Close. Any comments from the board, or?
No, the only thing that I don't necessarily agree with is I don't like the accessory.
But still, we had a zoning on that for that particular purpose, and why should we change it all of a sudden? Because they're coming up with a market approach to saying that there's a need for senior citizen complex here like that. So there is, sometimes we make codes, if I stand to be corrected here.
I personally think I would make a favorable, I'd make a favorable recommendation for the assisted living and the memory care facility, but I'd make no recommendation and let them handle that further, the town council, for the accessory building.
That sounds logical.
So just a little bit of background on the accessory building. That is for the
The independent living.
The independent living, when we went and met at the staff level, they explained, DMK had a representative available by phone and said many of the people in independent living just want a secure place to put their car. They're not quite ready to give up that car. So rather than having cars parked permanently sitting in a parking lot, it'll be a nice garage with individual stalls that'll match the architecture of the building. It actually cleans up the site.
That's nothing that could be incorporated, say, to the northwest side of that building, to the rear?
It is, so it is on the, I don't want to say backside, but.
So it's not an accessory building, you see what I'm saying? Basically, it gets incorporated into the building itself.
Well, it's detached. It's a detached.
Right, that's what I'm
garage.
saying,
Yeah.
to be not detached.
Well, the building itself has all around the perimeter, you'll have,
Windows.
obviously, windows, patio doors, there's balconies that come out. So this would be across the drive from, on the west side. It's shielded by the trees behind it, and really, the building itself is a three-story building. The garage is a single-story building.
So I know Hartsfield, for instance, in Munster, they have the parking, it's incorporated into the building itself, so there isn't a separate accessory building
I see.
outside of it. So there are facilities that have that, Hartsfield being one of them in Munster.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do believe that, as Jack mentioned, the side where the garage is and where the independent living is, there would be first floor patios there, so that would interrupt some of the unit spaces.
Yeah, and you're likely not even going to see it from the bridge.
Like I said, we're making recommendations to the
Sure.
council.
Yep.
John, you want to take over D?
Yeah. So, going first for the use variance, I'll say we send a favorable recommendation to the town council. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The need for the variance will arise from some condition peculiar to the property. The applicant did establish that the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. The petitioner has established that the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan of the town of St. John.
To incorporate it into the building itself. I think maybe we should make it in the recommendation for the accessory building, in the recommendation to maybe.
Oh, I was gonna do that as a separate motion.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Griesbaum, that would be the second part of item D.
Right.
Which would be the accessory building, yeah.
So then, we need some more additional information to get item D involved. I mean, we need more additional information on all this, I believe.
No, Joe, we're still just making a recommendation.
But even that recommendation, I don't feel good about it.
That's why I said then you, for the second item, you can make no recommendation.
Yeah, I will go along with that. I didn't hear that part.
So there's been a motion made. Is there, I would ask the chair to call a second. Is there a second to the
I
motion?
thought he made the second.
I'll make a second, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so there can be further discussion or a vote.
Any further discussion on this?
This is for the first item, Joe.
Right, for the first one.
Take a vote, Joe.
Hold on. We still haven't heard from the guy, one of our board members said, no questions or anything?
Drago, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm not in favor of it.
Take a vote.
Table it. Take a vote.
You want to call roll then?
Roll call.
John Gill,
Yes.
Chris Kreisbaum,
Yes.
Joe Gomestego,
No.
Drago Popovic,
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes 3-1, making favorable recommendation to the town council.
So now we have to go to the other one.
For the accessory.
Now we have the accessory building one, which is a special exception that we would make a recommendation to the council for.
So a favorable, unfavorable recommendation for the second part for the accessory building is what we're looking for.
Or no
Or-
recommendation.
Or no
Your
recommendation.
options
No
are to make-
recommendation.
I'm
basically.
voting for a no recommendation.
I'm voting for no.
You want to do it?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna vote for a no recommendation.
Make a motion.
I'm making a motion for no recommendation. And then, Mr. Decker, I have to run through the three again as well.
Well, no.
No.
So this is the component, which is the special exception, which would be items 1 through 7.
Yep.
So that's those would be the findings.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna make a motion for no recommendation, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception, will or will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. That the social or special exception will or could or possibly will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property value within the neighborhood. That the establishment of the special exception will or possibly will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Adequate measures will be taken to provide ingress and egress, so design as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets, and that adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and/or necessary facilities will be provided. That adequate measures will or possibly will not, in all other respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the zoning district in which it is located, and that the special exception shall be required to comply with reasonable time limitations on the commencement and duration of special exception, as well as holder of rights to same.
I second it.
We have a second.
Second? Or, oh,
All those in favor?
aye.
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 Yeah. Billy. Second. Do you want to take E, John?
Yeah.
Starting.
Jack, you can go on with E.
So, yeah, so now, now we're moving on to E, which is all developmental variances. There's about 10 of them here, and again, I think we want to just take them one at a time. And we'll try to explain what the need is for the variance as we go along, and I would assume you want to vote on them one at a time. And again, at some point, we'll want to open it to a public hearing, if that's applicable. So, out of the 10 variances, actually, the first one, I don't know if we want to just retract that one, because we actually don't feel that we need it after
Correct.
review.
Correct. After a review of the ordinance itself, we will have individual lots that will be smaller than 2 acres. However, our development plan here is in excess of 2 acres, so we do believe this first one can be withdrawn.
So the first variance requested was a minimum tract size, that the minimum tract size shall be 2 acres in the US Highway 41 overlay district. The overall tract that we are looking to develop is over 10 acres. It will be divided into 4 lots. Several of those lots will be less than 2 acres, but the overall tract is 10 acres, so it does meet the requirements of a development in the overlay district.
Mr. Decker, how do we want to make a recommendation to the council? Do we want to do E as a whole or each individual? I think E as a whole, correct?
These are all individual votes. None of this goes to the council now. You guys are voting on these here.
This
On the
decision
develop, this
stays
is,
with us.
this
Yeah.
stays with us, okay.
Yes. Mr. Kriesbaum, so these items are variances from the development standards, which stays here at the BZA. The BZA has final say. I would recommend that they be taken one at a time, rather than all at the same time, because each of the requested variances may or may not be, considered the same as others. And so I would, and there's also the requirement for a public hearing. Now, I think in the interest of brevity, that there could be a public hearing opened and closed on all of the requested variances rather than taking them individually, but I do think it will require individual votes on each of the
I would
requests.
say that, I tend to agree with that. I mean, we have to approach them individually, even though it's gonna stay here, because the general public has to hear that. And they wanna talk about it, whether it's positive or negative, they can.
You want to open it to public comment, Joe?
But they have to open it for each single individual.
Right,
So
right
that
now
we
we're
have
talking about the parcel size.
The parcels, so we have to look at the
We're
parcel.
going to
size.
retract that one.
Yeah,
So-
we're going to retract parcel size, and then we'd like to have the public hearing opened for the remainder of the variances we have on the agenda, so that there's one public hearing on the remaining items in item E. So that,
So
Go ahead.
what they're asking for, and I think what Attorney Decker was leaning to, was that we open public comment to, or public hearing to all of them, but when we go through and vote, Joe, we will take it one by one.
I think it's kind of gonna get them confused here, but,
What,
because we're gonna vote as a board, one by one. But
Individually.
Public hearing is they're gonna vote it, they're gonna speak.
Now, you can say if
everything.
anybody has public comment for anything remaining on
On
letter E, then speak your piece now before we go one by one.
Correct.
but as it is, they're taking out one already.
Right, the first
So
one.
the public needs to know that, which one they're gonna be talking about, so
Okay.
they don't need to
okay. John, you want to start it with number 2 then?
Okay.
Open the public hearing individually, please.
Okay.
Joe's got to open.
Joe,
Yeah.
you want to open them
Okay.
individually, please? I'm sorry.
Okay, I open it to the public so they can individually speak for or against this variance. Wow. Yeah. See, that's what I was afraid of. They're gonna get.
I'm sorry?
That's what I'm concerned about. They're all looking at this whole thing and then they have to go through each and every single one of them. Maybe we have to reiterate the whole
Or
thing.
nobody has anything to say about
No,
it.
they don't have anything to say, too. How about out there, the other board member that we have here?
Drago, any questions?
No, no questions.
Open to the public. Second call. Open to the public. Third call. Open to the public. Public hearing's closed. All right. Now what do you have?
So we'll try to go through these one at a time and explain what the ordinance is and what the variance is that we are requesting. The first one is Section 24-346. Under the US 41 bulk requirements, the longest property access shall be parallel to the adjoining highway. So this is requesting that each lot be parallel to US 41, essentially creating lots that are more suitable for like a strip mall or that type of development. In our case, with the 4 lots that we're proposing, they're not necessarily lengthwise parallel to US 41. In some cases, they are perpendicular to US 41. Now, none of these parcels will actually have access to US 41. There will be no driveways onto US 41 because of the nature of the property, the hill as you come over the hill. And so we are requesting a variance from Section 24-346 that says that the longest property access shall be parallel to the adjoining highway.
So Joe, this is like if you look at lot 2, the longest access is perpendicular, not parallel to US 41.
So, and this variance will be for the parcels themselves. The next variance we have will be for the buildings.
The next variance is very similar. It says buildings have to be oriented with their longest access parallel to the highway. So we have 2 in a row that are almost identical.
Got any questions, Joe?
No, I don't have any questions. There's no exit to 41, right?
That's
So the
correct.
exit's gonna go, where's the exit gonna go to?
So there'll be one common road up the middle of the property off of Wall Street, approximately centered on Wall Street, halfway between Patterson and US 41. It's essentially a frontage road we are creating, or an access road that will lead back to the senior care facility, and then the other 3 lots will access off of that same drive.
You see it on the plan there, they're showing
Yeah.
east and west turn lane, basically, going onto Wall Street, Joe.
I see that here right now, but I have a question. Are there any questions or statements from the board right now on that one? That's a traffic area that's,
All right, I'm gonna make a motion for approval. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Second.
Got a second? Want to call for a vote, Joe?
yes, I call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Aye.
Joe?
no, I said no.
Nay? Okay.
The next one would be similarly under the US 41 overlay district under bulk requirements, Section 24-346. It is the intent of these regulations to orient new buildings with their longest access parallel to the adjoining highway. Obviously, on the empty lots, we don't know yet which way those buildings will be facing. They'll have to come in when they go to build on the empty lots, but the actual senior care facility does not face US 41. It faces directly south.
It's open to the public. Any comments from the public? Once? Going twice? Close. Board?
Make a motion to approve the variance for 24-346-1. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. Use and value of the area adjacent property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
I'll make a second.
Vote? Amen.
Aye.
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 Nay.
I'm sorry, Drago, what was yours?
Aye. In favor.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a suggestion. When calling a vote, you might suggest all those in favor indicate by saying aye. And then when you hear any audible response, you'll know it's in response to that request. Because I know it was difficult to hear Drago. We weren't sure if he said yay or nay.
Thank you, Ed.
Oh, that's true.
And then you can follow that with all those opposed indicate by saying nay. And then that makes it a little bit easier to record the vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the next one is also a variance in the US 41 overlay district, section 24-346 bulk requirements. Parking shall be located to the rear and if necessary to the side of a building. In this particular case for the assisted living facility, as I mentioned, it basically has 360-degree face on the building. There will be parking on at least 3 sides of the building. And so it will not necessarily be located to the rear of the building. It will be mostly in the front and alongside.
Okay, I'll make a, what do you want to open it to public comment? I'm sorry.
Okay, I want to open it to the public. Second call. Third. Close. Let's open it up and talk. You want to talk about this, or you just want to go straight and vote?
You can talk if you want to talk, Joe.
Well, you know, some of these things are, that corner of a lot is kind of weird to talk about parking and exit and so forth. Those restrictions were put there for a purpose. And once we start to sway away from it even slightly, it could come back to haunt us. Because on Patterson and 41, and that short road that you make a right, it's going to be troubling later on. That's all I'm saying, okay? So there's a reason for that ordinance, that zoning ordinance. So I might be wrong, but again, this is something I'm trying to caution everyone with.
It's just for placement of the building, Joe. It's no different than any other, say a restaurant's built. There's parking all the way around the restaurant.
But again, the restaurants that we're looking at, look at how they're exiting and going around, even if it's for the parking. I'm looking at this whole setup as caution. But go ahead. I mean,
Do you have anything to say?
do you have anything to say, Gil?
I don't have anything to say. I just wanted to know what the question was, so we can maybe address it. As far as going in and out,
Well-
Wall Street is 2 lanes both ways, Joe. So,
But it's a short lane. I mean, it's a short exit and then.
true, I'm just trying to clear up what
So when
what
we're
the
looking
question
at
is.
as the approval for any of these, things, will it not be injurious to the public safety and morals? Public safety, we're talking about it right there. And so the entrance to that spot is going to be pretty difficult, or exit, especially coming down from the bridge and coming from the other side, Patterson.
Yeah.
So the parking, fine, it is the parking situation, but you're talking about Even that little section, that little
Sure.
strip mall that's on
Yeah,
the other side.
it's a very unique parcel.
It is,
Because of the
right.
fact that you can't get access off of 41 because of the hill.
Right.
So we put a lot of thought into the flow of this parcel. We do feel that this building is the best use for the parcel in the fact that it's very low traffic impact. There's very little traffic going in and out versus a normal commercial use if it was a restaurant or a strip mall or something of that nature. Realistically, you have your employees coming and going, and that's about it. So very low traffic impact, no impact at all to the school system, and again, they're a tax-paying entity, so it's a unique parcel that we have to, that's why we have so many variances, is because it's not a typical lot that faces onto 41.
Right, and I feel for you. I do understand that. But it does come up as a problem with the reason why they had it there.
And Joe, this variance is just strictly for where the cars are at in relation to the building,
It-
not with the
You're
flow
right,
of
but I think
traffic or
anytime we
anything.
make a decision, we have to incorporate all those things, especially if we're looking at it. And that's why. I said
Not what we're
caution
talking
to-
about here. This is only pertaining to the parking, Joe.
If we go with the parking, I'm still cautious to the wind there, because you have a lot of traffic going in there, even if it's just for parking, even parking alone. You're talking about, will not affect the substantial adverse manner. Okay, that's number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the properties. You got properties across the other side that are, not that I'm here defending them, I'm just saying that the zoning restrictions were put there for a purpose. And the parking is going to be difficult. I can understand that. Traffic count on that little strip, that little section is a tricky one. I've seen cars when I'm going northbound in Patterson still make a left turn there. So we're going to have a serious issue there and until we get, even if we're parking. So it's a tough decision to make. I feel for you, Mr. Shuno. So I think we're going to want to call it, go for a vote, go for it.
I'm gonna make a motion for approval. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinances will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. You want to have a roll call? Matt? No.
I think the vote
Okay.
was clear.
3-1, okay.
Yes.
All right, the next
Go ahead.
variance we are requesting is also in the US 41 overlay district, bulk requirements, section 24-346, frontage road setbacks and outlot buildings illustration. The development does not comply with the town code illustration. The geometry of the existing parcel is not plainly rectangular or suitable for accommodating this illustration. So the illustration in the US 41 overlay district calls for, again, this would be on a normal flat frontage parcel on US 41, but you would have your US 41 highway, then you would have outlots, then you would have a frontage road, and then you would have your user behind. So an example of where that makes sense would be Target or Strax, where you have outlots in front, frontage road behind, and your user behind that. We are attempting to do something similar due to the unique shape and nature of this parcel by having a frontage road in effect, a service road that will go up the middle of the parcel and service the 4 parcels, but it does not strictly comply with the US 41 overlay illustration. And I would offer that very few parcels in town would be able to meet that requirement other than Strax or Target. I think when the US 41 overlay district was written, they were looking for big box users on large parcels. And you got a few of those, but with what's left out there, you're not going to see that much anymore.
Okay, I'm going to open it to the public. Open to the public.
The frontage road, will everything kind of filter out like 96th Avenue?
Mr.
Can you-
Chair,
Please
needs
come
to
up here, sir, and
identify
put your,
himself at the
give us your name and
podium.
address, please.
Hey, Jack Camilleri, 9226 Ivy Avenue. I'm just, will all that, will everything that goes to the frontage road filter out like onto 96th Avenue where they're gonna, then there's gonna be a light?
If you would address the board, and then we'll respond.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir, your question was again, I was trying to write it down.
Again,
was it-
yeah, Mr. Chair, again, it's not an opportunity to ask questions of the board. He's here to make a
Make a
comment.
statement to the,
Right. to-
Yeah, I'm just curious how everything would, how the frontage road that they're talking about is going to occur, how it is in back of Strack and by the car wash over there that leads out to 96th Avenue. And then from there, by the Wendy's, there's a light that goes out onto 41. Will that be similar?
If you, Jack, if you want to, go ahead.
go ahead. Go respond to it.
Yeah, I think that would be essentially a similar situation where we're filtering our traffic out to Wall Street. It has the ability to go east and west at that point, and then you have the ability to go north and south. If someday there are more intensive uses at that corner, it may warrant a traffic signal there, but right now there is not the traffic. The warrant is not there, the traffic count is not there. We've asked NDOT before to look at that intersection, and the traffic counts are not there to warrant a signal. So, again, this is a very low traffic count user, and so we're comfortable with the arrangement that we have.
Anyone else? Second call. Third call. Close to the public. All right. Board?
I don't have any questions, Joe.
Any questions, Gil?
No, I'll make a motion to approve. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or the general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, that the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties with the use of the property.
I'll make a second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 No. 3-1.
Okay, the next item is also in the US 41 Overlay District Bulk Requirements, Section 24-346, Section 3. Building heights are specified in the underlying primary zoning district, except that the maximum building height along US 41 shall be the lesser of 50 feet and/or 3 occupiable floors. Lot 1 is proposed use, the senior housing facility is 3 occupiable floors, but it has a peak building height of approximately 53 feet. So it exceeds the maximum height of 50 feet by 3 feet. As a side note, the current senior housing facility that's in the town of St. John, the Park Place facility that is at the entrance to the gates of St. John, is also 53 feet high, and the newest Lake Central addition is also 53 feet high. So there must be something about 53 that fits nicely for these buildings, but that's the variance we're requiring, is 3 feet.
Open to the public. Any comments or questions?
Is that the, yeah, it's,
Going once? Twice? Close to the public. You have any questions?
No, Joe,
comments?
I don't.
Questions?
no, I'm good. I'll make a motion to approve the variance for the height of 53 feet. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or the general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
I'll make a second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
No.
The next one is a US 41 overlay district bulk requirements, minimum parcel width. Again, this is similar to some of the other ones that we talked about earlier. This requirement is that the parcel width shall equal or exceed that amount which is 1/2 the depth of the parcel. Again, the parcels proposed are of irregular shape, given the original parcel shape being irregular and surrounding existing roadway network. All parcels do not have depth approaching twice the frontage dimension. So this is a request for a variance from the requirement that the parcel width shall equal or exceed that amount which is 1/2 the depth of the parcel.
It's open to the public. Second call. Third call. Close. Any comments from the board or questions?
No.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for approval. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Second.
No?
But
How about,
all in favor first.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 No. Nay.
Okay, the next one is a variance also from the US 41 overlay district, access to individual tracks. A frontage road system is to be established off US 41 to funnel traffic off of US 41. Again, while no frontage road is proposed, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be served by a privately owned and maintained shared driveway roadway onto Wall Street. The development does meet the spirit of this requirement by consolidating access points onto the greater roadway network. No new driveways are proposed onto US 41. So the variance requests that we receive a variance from the requirement for a frontage road system.
Any questions from the public? Once? Twice? Close to the public. Any comments or questions? Or
Questions, John?
questions, John?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve, to not have a frontage road system. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, the next one is the US 41 overlay district, section 24-355A1. Any accessory building for refuse storage shall be designed to include a roof structure. And I believe you've had this one recently on other commercial proposals within the town. The future proposed refuge structure, the dumpster, it will be fully enclosed, but not have a roof. So the dumpster companies just don't like roofs over the dumpster, so I believe that one's been granted on all of the previous requests.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance for the refuse. Oh, okay.
Open to the public. Second call. Third call. Close to the public. Go ahead, Gil.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the variance for 24-355A1, cover for the refuse container. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
I'll make a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Okay. Next.
The next variance is a buffer yard. This falls under the landscaping requirements in the C2 district, section 24-519C1. Buffer yard shall be 40 feet next to existing residences. The variance request is for the northernmost property line only. The access drive around the building does encroach about 15 feet into the required buffer yard, but the adjacent property structures are considerably set back from this property line. So where we have neighbors to the north, there are no homes directly adjacent to that north property line. They're at least 140 feet away. There's a lake and everything.
Yeah.
The houses are a long way away. So the access drive encroaches approximately 15 feet into the required buffer. We do maintain the buffer around the two existing homes that are on Patterson. We maintain that buffer and we stay out of that completely. So we are requesting a variance from the buffer yard of 40 feet on the north property line only.
Any questions from the public or statements? Second call. Third. Close.
I'll make a motion to approve the buffer. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is the green belt requirement. There's a green belt, this is under section 24-525A1 and 2. There's a green belt requirement, a minimum of 30 feet in width, and this is along US 41. So this also includes the embankment for the hill of US 41 going up and over the tracks. And Lot 1 has a small portion of the parking lot that encroaches on the green belt for approximately 15 feet. This would be at the bottom of the embankment of US 41. The location of the encroachment is not in the front of the building and otherwise shielded from public view by virtue of the topography. So we are requesting a variance from the green belt requirement of 30 feet along US 41.
Any questions from the public? Second call. Third. Close.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the green belt. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. That the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Second.
I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, last one. This falls under the landscaping items, under the C2 zoning again. Minimum of 1 shade tree and 5 shrubs shall be planted with each parking lot for every 9 spaces provided, or not less than 18 trees per acre of parking. The user here provides parking generally alongside the access drives, leaving minimal interior landscaped islands. So we're not looking at a big parking lot with a bunch of islands. There's ample green space around the building and access drive for which to mitigate these lost landscaping counts. The project intends to over-landscape other areas to compensate for this reduction of interior parking lot landscaping. So this item will also have to go back in front of the Plan Commission at some point for a site plan approval, and they will also present a landscaping plan, lighting plan. All of those things will have to be vetted through the Plan Commission. We're just asking for a variance from the planting within the parking lot requirements that is normally set for large parking lots, such as a Strax or a Target.
Questions from the public? Second call? Third? Entertain the board.
Make a motion to approve the variance for 24-525D. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or the general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, that the strict application of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
I'll make a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Thank you very much for your patience and for
Thank
working
you.
through those with
Thank
us.
you. I'm
Appreciate
sorry.
it.
Next on the agenda, we have item F.
The petitioner decided to remove that item. They decided the other day that they did not any longer need that. They sent a letter that's up on the screen now, so that item was requested to be removed by the petitioner.
Okay. Moving right along. New or old business? Public comment. Meeting's adjourned. Hey,
A motion to-
motion to adjourn the meeting? Okay,
So moved.
So moved.
so moved.